as the United States ramps up its military presence in the region. A British maritime risk management firm identified the vessel as the Panama-flagged tanker Centuries, which was intercepted east of Barbados in the Caribbean Sea. The ship was previously known as Arion, according to maritime data, and the interception highlights Washington's stepped-up enforcement efforts against Venezuela's oil trade amid heightened regional tensions and continued pressure on Caracas. Alison joins us once again. Of course, this comes in combination with strikes on Venezuelan vessels, along with some pretty harsh language coming out of Donald Trump. There are talks and aggressive statements from the US president, including him in an interview that he gave just a couple of days ago, saying that he won't rule out war with the Maduro government. Alison, the US has now intercepted a second oil tanker in international waters. What does that mean for this developing situation?
Well, I think it's clear that the Donald Trump administration is increasing pressure on Venezuela. It wants to crack down. It wants to block these vessels, which it says are sanctioned. I understand the first one was sanctioned. The second one, as far as we know, wasn't sanctioned. He thinks that Venezuela is exporting oil to China and Iran to fund the narco terrorism, what they call that, which is basically drugs. Which end up on the streets in the United States. So this is his declared aim, and it's to stop. And I think it's to stop to put a lot of pressure on Venezuela and to stop their financing. I mean, he is a declared enemy of Nicolas Maduro, the leader there, and so I think probably the final aim is to see the end of that administration, that regime. And therefore, I don't think the pressure will stop. I think it will increase. I see he has support from the Argentinian leader Milei, not from the Brazilian leader. But yes, the aim, I think, is to get rid of Maduro in the end and to stop the financing that keeps Maduro in power from the exported oil.
We've seen pretty frequently the United States in history, not meddling per se, but getting involved in South American politics. Donald Trump, of course, campaigned on stopping dragging America into what he called forever wars. If Donald Trump in the United States do, in fact, invade Venezuela, do you think that'll be successful, first of all, and how popular do you think that will be with the American public?
Well, there's two things. There's the American public and then his MAGA supporters. Some of his MAGA supporters support whatever he does. I know you're exactly right. He did campaign on stopping these forever wars. But, you know, I think Donald Trump has realized that no country is an island. The US exists. They import things, they export things, so they can't exist by themselves. And one of the things he wants to crack down on is illegal immigration, but also on drugs on the streets in America. So that is why he's going after Venezuela. So I think some may point out the hypocrisy, and rightly so, fairly so. But others will actually say, yes, he's right, because I know he said this, but we have to keep the drugs off the streets. We have to keep the illegal immigrants off the streets. So Donald Trump does have to do it. But it just shows you when politicians run for office and what they campaign on and what ends up happening once they are in office are two different things. That's not just the case for Donald Trump, it's the case for everyone. But some people might say, you know, he shouldn't be doing this. This is too aggressive. He said that he would make America great again. This doesn't mean invading other countries. But other people might support him as a way of potentially reducing the number of illegal drugs in America.
Alison, stay with us once again as we have a related development coming up. And Argentina's President Javier Milei has praised President Donald Trump's pressure campaign against Venezuela as tensions rise over fears of a possible US naval deployment near the country's mainland. Speaking at a Maricosa summit, Milei said Argentina welcomes pressure from the United States and Donald Trump to free the Venezuelan people, adding that the time for a timid approach has passed. His remarks come as Venezuela warns that increased US military activity in the region may be aimed at unseating President Nicolas Maduro. The rhetoric was further sharpened this week when Trump, in an interview with NBC News, said he was not ruling out the possibility of war. Trump has repeatedly accused Maduro's government of drug trafficking. The comments underscore the escalating diplomatic and military tensions, raising concerns across the region about the risk of further confrontation. Listen in to what the Argentine president had to say on the situation.
La Argentina saluda la presión de los Estados Unidos y Donald Trump para liberar al pueblo venezolano. El tiempo de tener un acercamiento tímido en esta materia se agotó.
Alison, Javier Milei has said the time for a timid approach when it comes to Venezuela and Maduro is over. Does cheering this United States pressure, or even his war, or even Donald Trump's war talk, actually help the people of Venezuela, or just raise the risk of regional instability?
Milei, who is a right-wing populist, is an ally of Donald Trump. He's in the same political camp. And Donald Trump will welcome the comments made by Milei today, which is not at all the case for other South American leaders who would like more stability on their continent. Were the situation to escalate, and at the moment it looks like it's going in that direction, it would create a level of instability in Venezuela and the region. But the aim of Donald Trump is to, I think, unseat Maduro, who the United States and the European Union consider was illegitimately, he's the illegitimate president of Venezuela, and that there was basically tampering of the ballots. So he's not even considered a legitimate president. Were he to be overthrown, who would be put in his place? Would it be a puppet, if you like, of the United States? I don't know, but it looks like at the moment the situation is escalating, and that would lead to some sort of regional instability. But then what if it does, and there is military activity? How long does that last, and what happens afterwards? If Maduro is out, who replaces him? And if the person replaces him, I suppose, is committed to reducing funding of drugs, then for Donald Trump that would be a just cause, because that's what he says is his aim, is to get rid of Maduro and to stop the funding of drugs that end up on the streets around the world.
Alison Mutler, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on the programme. We now move on and over to West Asia, and the Israeli military